Today on the show, we're going to be talking about Moone, the Enchantress. If you didn't know that she's technically two characters, then this show is for you. So, Moone, the Enchantress. She would first appear in Strange Adventures 187 in 1966. She would be invited to a costume party at an old abandoned castle, and while exploring through the castle, she found a door that just flipped through, and on the other side was this magical chamber where there was this being that gave her the abilities of the Enchantress to defeat an evil in the castle. By saying the words, the Enchantress, she turned into a long, black-haired woman with magical abilities. But slowly over time, her villainous side began to take over, and by the time Crisis on Infinite Earths came about, she was a member of the army of supervillains. Later, she would join the Suicide Squad in exchange for the team keeping her villainous side at bay. And this didn't exactly work because very quickly into joining the team, she lost control of her Enchantress side totally, which caused Madame Xanadu to step in. Madame Xanadu was quick to realize that June used her magic before she really knew how to control it, which is a really bad thing to do when dealing with magic in the DC universe. So Madame Xanadu gives June this necklace that stops her from using magic temporarily, but it allows her aura to restore itself and thus protect her from evil influences while using magic. Then soon after this, June finds out that the Enchantress is not the name of her abilities and not the name of her power like Shazam, but the Enchantress is a totally separate being living inside of her body. And then the Incubus rips the Enchantress from June. Then nothing is heard from Moone or the Enchantress for over 11 years. Then one day, June would be in a mental institute in New Jersey, and she has been here since the day she disappeared. And there would be a storm going on in hell, and the Enchantress would return to June, and June would break out of the mental institute. This revival of the Enchantress didn't last long at all because she would be killed by Sebastian Faust as an act of pure evil to reignite the fires of hell. However, it would be quickly revealed that June wasn't dead. She was just put into a state of catatonia and sent to another mental institution. The Enchantress was not inside of June at this point, so Sebastian Faust would go and take June away and reunite her with the Enchantress, who had been hiding as a succubus in hell. When the two women were merged once again, they created a third entity called the Soul Singer, and this quickly vanished from reality, but it cut the Enchantress off from her powers. So the Enchantress and June are in the same body, but now have no powers. So they are looked after by Dr. Occult. Later, we would find out that at some point the Enchantress's powers had returned to her when we see Ragman digging out the Enchantress from a ruined forest. Apparently, the Spectre had been going around Earth killing off magical beings, and the Enchantress wanted to challenge the Spectre. She creates a gun and gives it to Ragman, and this gun is the only gun capable of killing the Enchantress should she turn evil again. And if she turns evil, this will be when her powers overload. And her powers do overload when she is channeling energy from pretty much every single being on Earth into Captain Marvel. But instead of being killed by the gun, Blue Devil knocks her out with a punch. Once she recovers from this, she helps lure the Spectre into a trap, and then after this, she helps restore the Rock of Eternity. Then shortly after this, Blue Devil, Ragman, and the Enchantress, and a couple of other characters all form the magic team Shadow Pact, and their first mission was actually given to them by the Phantom Stranger. He wanted them to protect this town called River Rock, which was in danger from a group called Pentacle, who wanted to sacrifice the town to this evil sun god. A huge dark magic battle would break out, and Shadow Pact would win in the end, but due to the mix of magic that went on, everyone in the world believed Shadow Pact had been dead for a year. Later on, she would take on an apprentice called Laura Fell, and this kind of resulted in this really weird adventure involving a dimension called the Nightshade Dimension, and her colleagues were trapped there, so she had to free her colleagues by creating a magical virus. It was a very confusing storyline and not exactly relevant to the Enchantress in the long run. And then after this, there'll be an adventure of Captain Atom. Again, not exactly irrelevant to the Enchantress, because it was more about Captain Atom than the Enchantress. And then it would be the New 52. And then in the New 52, she's in Justice League Dark. And I have kind of like an on-off love affair with Justice League Dark, because sometimes I really like it, and other times I really don't like it. But at all times, my one constant gripe is, I just wish it was weirder. I really like this character. I would love to write this character one day, but personally I feel like I would put more of an emphasis on the June Moon Enchantress separation. I think that is so important, and it's kind of been ignored in the New 52, honestly. I would like to write her in her own series because I definitely think that she could handle that, and if I were writing it, I'd kind of loosely base it off the magical girl genre from Japan. Like, I wouldn't make her all like cutesy kyun kyun kawaii kind of thing, but I would kind of make her have fights and gain a physical item at the end of battles, and I like the idea of transformation for this character, so I take all those kind of themes from magical girl anime and kind of put it into this comic. I do feel like an Enchantress series would help solidify who this character is, because at the moment she is very open to interpretation, which honestly isn't a bad thing, but when a character is solid, it results in your Wonder Womans, your Batmans, and I definitely feel like she has the potential to be an A-list character. I definitely feel like she just needs the right writer, the right place, the right time, and the right artist, and we could see her be the next huge female superhero.
It's super effective!
Okay guys, that is it for today. If you think I forgot anything majorly important about June Moon, please let me know in the comments down below. And also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more history videos. And also don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, support the show by checking out my Patreon so I can make bigger and better and more history videos. And also don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.